ABC24 This Week starts right now.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on ABC24 This Week. I am your host, Pepper Baker, and you are here for the real stories behind the big stories. And I hope you'll continue to join us every Sunday at 9 a.m., 10:35 p.m., or by streaming 24+. All right, let's see who is at the table today. As always, ABC24 political analyst Otis Sanford, Susan Thorpe of Thorpe Communications, and Reverend Kenneth Whalum of New Olivet Worship Center. Thank you all so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
All right, big topics today. So first, the state released the final results of the MSCS audit. Second, what Senator Marsha Blackburn said and didn't say during our interview about her campaign to be Tennessee's next governor. Last, recent deadly shootings involving the Memphis Safe Task Force has Memphians fed up. Let's get back to number one. Tennessee officials released the final results of their audit of Memphis-Shelby County schools. The independent forensic audit identified more than $119 million in questionable transactions. Auditors say about $54 million showed evidence consistent with potential fraud, waste, or abuse, while another $65 million involved failures to follow district policies and procedures.
I believe there is information in this report that absolutely could lead to indictment, but that's not for me to say. We have to work again with the local district attorney and perhaps more importantly, the United States attorney, who I can assure you is anxiously awaiting a copy of this report.
You can't give contracts to your buddy and try to get some siphon back to you. You can't try to go in and get your friends contracts without the bid process. You can't go buy buildings and refurbish them and then sell them later when you never used them at a loss.
Important to note that the audit investigated the district's transactions between 2022 and 2024. MSCS's annual budget is about $2 billion, so we are seeing the audit results pointing to about $119 million in questionable spending of a total of $4 billion, give or take. Otis, open it up here for us.
Yeah.
So when we break it down like that, is this a large amount to be concerned about when you take into consideration about $4 billion here?
Well, I mean, obviously, yes, we do have a multi-billion-dollar budget, but yeah, when you're talking about $54 million on that custodial contract, for example, with Service Master Clean, that is a very troubling thing. And I think this audit has pointed that out. And I do believe that the U.S. Attorney especially is probably going to be looking into this. But let me say two things here. One is that the findings of that contract, or the results of that contract, were flagged back in 2024 by a whistleblower who was alleging some kickbacks involved. And the school district at that time turned it over to the FBI. So the question is, what has the FBI been doing for the last 2 years? And the second thing is, there was just a lot of selective outrage by the Republicans there that we just played there with Mumpower and also Cameron Sexton. I think they put too much politics into it, and I didn't hear all of those things about contracts and all of that when the former speaker, Cameron Sexton, was indicted. He didn't say anything about that. So I just think that let's leave the politics out of it. It is a troubling issue, and let's let the thing play out from here.
Reverend Whalum, I know you have a lot to say because I've seen a little bit of it on Facebook, but your thoughts on the audit? I mean, clearly, I don't think you're surprised.
No, and speaking of selective outrage, when I see our elected officials, their response to the audit is sort of like, they do it too. No, that's not an adult way to look at this. I noticed some of the wording in the findings that say just because we see evidence of fraud, we can't make that statement. We can't blame anybody for fraud. But when I heard Sexton say, trust me, we're going to turn this over to the federal authorities, I believe, and I'm on page 68 right now of the 667 pages, and I can tell you clearly that I truly believe there are going to be some charges coming from the audit. I am heartbroken that we can't find one black Democratic elected official who will stand up and say, no more, enough is enough. Let's educate our children. It's heartbreaking to me.
There were some of the screenshots she sent me. I wasn't able to get them in time, but talking about the self-reflection bit that these board members should have been doing.
They are required, the Board of Education is required to go through training by the state. They are required to do self-assessments every year. When they terminated Dr. Fagans, they had not even done their self-assessment. That's absolutely ridiculous. I was saying it at the time with these beautiful people here at the table, and now we have an official result that proves that they didn't know what they were doing.
Self-assessments, yes. Susan, your thoughts on this, and then the lawsuit still that is looming. How is that going to play into this?
Well, I mean, the lawsuit's going to always be looming. The area of contracts when it comes to government and the school board, there's always an opportunity to bend the system and to manipulate something for a friend. It doesn't just happen in our city schools. It happens all over government. So does that make it right? No. But it seems to me that at some point, our elected officials and the people they hire to do the work for them should be cognizant of the fact that people are watching. That you either go along the straight and narrow or you take the risk of winding up on the bad side of an audit and you get yourself in real trouble. So, as far as the school board is concerned and the state appointed committee to oversee the school board, sometimes I think we expect too much from citizen volunteers. And, a 600-page audit, how many people on that elected board and on that appointed board do you think have sat down and read 600 pages? You've only had time to read 65.
I'm going to finish it, though.
Yeah, well,
I want to come back here and talk about it.
You're a rarity. But, I think that to accuse somebody that you didn't pay attention, look, the city council has 13 members. Each one has a staff member that does the research and does fact-checking for them. On the school board, that doesn't exist, and it's not going to exist on the committee that's appointed by the state. They rely on the superintendent and the superintendent's appointed staff to present them proposals and budgets that are straight, honest, and efficient. And when it comes to any kind of contract, if the administration says this is a good contract, they raise their hand and say, okay, because they rely on them. One other point, that's going to be the shortcoming if this state-appointed committee that oversees the school board ever takes real effect. That's going to be their shortcoming. That there is nobody, and I said this before in the show, there is nobody with the kind of financial, institutional knowledge to read and find go with a fine-tooth comb inside of a $2 billion institutional budget and find out where the problems are.
But let me address something, and I agree with Ken on some of those issues. Yes, I do. There should be more self-reflection here. Board members, the elected school board members, got elected, so they have a responsibility by being elected to take these matters seriously and not put their head in the sand on it. And I agree with you that other elected officials ought to do the same. But here's where I come down on this, though. Again, I go back to the selective outrage by Cameron Sexton especially. Now, I'm just going to say again that Billy Orgel was there when this happened. And while the evidence shows that he may not have voted there, he was still a board member.
He was the president
and now he's on this oversight board. And here's Cameron Sexton said, well, Billy Orgel's a good guy, so let's leave him alone. Let's look at all these other people. No. I want to hear from Billy Orgel specifically about what you knew and didn't know about that Service Master Clean contract.
I'm telling you that Billy Orgel, as a citizen volunteer, relied on what the school board and the administration.
Well, let him say that.
Well,
and he wasn't a citizen volunteer when he was elected to the school board.
And speaking of those two contracts, I find it interesting that at least one of those companies, maybe both of them, got legal representation and refused to participate in the audit itself. Now, what does that tell you?
No, that tells you a lot.
One thing somebody reached out to me was that the two companies in question are black-owned as well.
Yeah.
And then Billy Orgle's the dismissive nature around Billy Orgle's, there was like a racial situation going on, or an element.
Well, I'm not going there.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Just wanted to put that out there.
Let's have some transparency and come clean,
On all
Service
sides.
Master Clean.
Yeah.
Come clean about what's going on here.
I like
Okay.
what you did there, Otis.
All right,
What you
good
did.
start, y'all. I love it. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Senator Marsha Blackburn. She came in studio this week, what she said and did not say during our interview.